What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the GoodeBaker podcast. I'm Nick Baker. Across from me, Shane Good.
Itachi.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're wearing the red cloud pants.
Yeah, dude. You gotta call me by my correct name.
All right. So, across from me, Itachi Uchiha.
No, I'm Shane.
All right. No, it's Shane Good over there, and we're here to talk to you about some video games. Not anime, but maybe later in the year.
Yeah, you never know.
Yeah. So, what have you been up to, man?
Not playing Jump Force, but that's because that game sucks. I've been playing League of Legends and PoE. What about you?
Is Itachi in Jump Force?
I think so. Honestly,
that would be criminal if he wasn't.
I watched other people play Jump Force and was like, yes, I'm not getting that game.
Yes, that looks like a dumpster fire. But yeah, that was Jump Force last year. But this year is the year of Kakarot. But that's what I've been playing. But what are you up to?
So I did placements. Climbed myself out of bronze into silver 2, and stopped playing League for a little bit. Jumped back into PoE a little bit. PoE is kind of dying. League's pretty much over. Everybody's pretty much done. So made a little bit of quick currency so I could help my buddy get his headhunter. I don't know if you know what a headhunter is.
Nope.
Perfect. It's the most expensive item in the game beside essentially a mirror or mirror shards.
See, now I was thinking it was a class.
Oh, yes.
Headhunter sounds like a class to me. But yeah, a weapon too, yeah.
Headhunter basically is a class in a weird sort of way.
Right, you build a class around the weapon.
Right. So it's the most powerful belt in the game. Also happens to be the most powerful.
Yes. All right. I'm on the ride now.
So it's about every time you hit a rare monster that has a bloodline and kill it, you steal its modifier. So if its modifier is extra damage, you get extra damage. If its modifier is extra life, you get extra life. Extra energy shield, you get extra energy shield, so on and so forth. I think there's like 28 modifiers, or is it either 28 modifiers or 38 modifiers in the game, and you can steal all of them. So the build essentially is have a mild amount of damage, have a mild amount of HP and energy shield, and then use bloodlines as a modifier in your maps themselves, and then just kill like a pack. And then you're invincible for the rest of the map.
Well, damn.
Yeah, it's really fun. It happens to be the third most expensive item in the game.
Right.
Which is, I think, right. Even with the League being dead, it's like 90x.
So, are you only allowed to buy the item, or can it be dropped by?
It can be dropped, but only by Nemesis mobs. Nemesis mobs are, so to even activate the Nemesis mob in your Atlas device, you have to have completed like a bunch of missions to like kind of unlock the ability. And then the chances of dropping that belt are like probably, I would say, either you're the luckiest motherfucker ever, or you have you've probably 6,000 hours playing just Nemesis mods.
Holy fuck.
Yeah.
Wow.
The chances are abysmal.
Yeah.
Most people, it's a legendary item, so you can craft it in the weirdest way possible. You can get what's called non-annulment orbs, which we also call anal orbs, by the way, which are funny.
Jesus.
You can get ancient orbs, which allow you to re-roll a piece of gear. Luckily, there's only 8 legendary belts. 8 or 9. So you can re-roll into that belt as long as the map has the Nemesis mod tag. The issue is those are 50 chaos each. So they're very expensive because people will try and make profit. They'll buy 1,000 of them, or they'll buy an insane amount, jack the price way the hell up, either flip them or try and make as many headhunters as they can to profit from them.
All right.
So,
damn.
Well, that's PoE in a nutshell. What have you been playing, dude?
Well, this week marks the release of Kakarot, so I picked that up. It's pretty good. It's kind of a bummer though. I was expecting it to be a little bit better. Obviously, our preview last week, I was pretty hyped on it just from what I'd seen. People were talking, hyping it all up, but the combat system's really repetitive. So far, I'm about maybe 15 hours into it now. I played a little bit, and I think I'm at the Frieza arc. Okay. And the combat it varies only because you switch characters. You play as multiple different characters throughout the beginning of the game, and it's mostly just mashing circle, kind of dodging with X, and the flight in the open world is really strange too. The ascend and descend are locked to R1 and R2. So your trigger buttons are your up and down as flight, and you can't control your flight direction with your right stick. That just controls the camera. Okay. So it's a bit messy there. I think it's just that part of the game seems like it was an afterthought. Like the open world portion of it just seems like it was an afterthought, but the core parts of it, like the story beats that you get to, and you do like the Vegeta and Goku fight, and you're fighting Frieza's henchmen and the Ginyu Force and whatever. Those fights actually have some cinematic value to them. They'll bring in some of the like legitimate scenes that are one for one, and they look great. They're probably some of the best animated DBZ that we've seen in some of those cutscenes. But at the same time, the rest of the game kind of falls short. So it's something that I'm gonna play to the finish because I just love Dragon Ball Z so much, and I'm enjoying that part of it, the storytelling and reliving the story through the game that way. But the combat's not as engaging as I'd want it to be. Even like older entries of DBZ games, I think got it better. Maybe not Xenoverse, but like, I don't know, like Tenkaichi. I keep going back to that one, thinking like, oh wow, that was really where they hit the pinnacle with what they're doing with the combat system there. How your flight controls, how you're locking onto enemies. That is one thing. Locking onto enemies is pretty simple. You start each battle locked onto your first enemy, so you don't have to like
no target finding.
and your right stick controls your lock on, so you can flick that right or left.
Right stick, huh?
Yes, everything once you get into a battle is based on what you're locked onto. So you're just kind of following your lock on until all your enemies are defeated, and that's like the open world NPC fights, and they're really kind of bland. They really only just started getting interesting because I'm fighting actual like Frieza soldiers, so they actually have energy blasts and whatnot. But before that, I was just fighting these stupid little red ribbon robots, and they're no challenge at all. You can just smoke them.
Yep.
Those are my kind of first impressions of Kakarot. I'll probably have more to say about it next week for sure, because I'll be practically done with it probably at that point. But from what they're saying, it's a really long game. It's like 40 hours, the main campaign. So
yeah, that is a long console game, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, as far as a campaign goes, like what's your scale for long campaigns?
I mean, Path of Exiles is a super long PC game.
Now that I'm thinking about it, what in the hell is that? Is that snow falling off here? Oh.
No.
Never mind. Anyway.
I mean, also, like, Steam has these games where, like, the infinite replayability, but to technically play them all the way through, like, Enter the Gungeon, if you were to technically play that game all the way through, it'd take, like, 95 hours.
Right. I was kind of thinking more along the lines of, like, console release. But
AAA.
The PC space is an interesting, like, campaign idea, because like Final Fantasy 14 Online, that campaign is long. Like that main campaign, the first campaign for just the base game, not including all the expansions, it takes forever to get through that, because that's, it's an MMO. That's what you're supposed to do. You spend your life in there.
Pretty much. That, like Dark Souls 2 actually. But Dark Souls 2, 3 are both very long games as well. Especially if you die a lot.
Yeah. So in that way, I think it's a little interesting just because I feel like they're kind of really stretching it out, whereas they could probably tell the story of Dragon Ball Z in, like a 15, 20-hour campaign if you just mainline those fights.
Yeah.
And maybe that's how I prefer it. I was thinking, like, oh, man, great. Dragon Ball Z open world game. I think they could really fill that with some really cool lore, and they do sometimes. There are some things that are interesting, some quests that are like, oh wow, that's a cool throwback. I haven't seen that character forever. I haven't even thought of that character. But yeah, I think it's one, if you're a big Dragon Ball Z fan, it's something you want to check out just because there's so much lore and things to find in it that you'll think back to and be nostalgia driven. And but if you're not really a Dragon Ball Z fan, I don't think it's going to be for anybody that's looking for an action game, open world. There's so many more better examples of that.
That's fair.
But yeah, so those are my thoughts on Kakarot. Let's move into the big topics of the week.
Kakarot.
Nope.
3 for a loop.
No, Kakarot is so yesterday.
Lol.
But the delay train, man, hit us hard this week. Hit 3 of the biggest games of this year.
It could be this year. We're not even sure at this point. Damn.
Yeah, I mean, with all these pushbacks, we don't even know. I mean, if they push Final Fantasy VII out of this year, I'm gonna disown Square so fast.
That's
you heard it here first. But yeah, so Final Fantasy VII Remake, Avengers, and Cyberpunk all got delayed.
Yep.
Cyberpunk and Avengers being pushed all the way to September.
Yeah, that's a massive delay.
Avengers is the 4th and Cyberpunk is the 17th. But Final Fantasy only just got pushed a month, which is weird.
I mean, did it get pushed a month because of it needing more work? Or did it get pushed a month because they realized they want this game to have the best chance possible and for them to make the most money out of it, so they wanted to space out the placement more? Because, I mean, there is a lot, even now, there's still a lot of games between now and March.
Right. No, there's a ton of games that are filling spring, for sure.
But, I mean, we totally knew that Cyberpunk, we didn't know what it was going to be, but Cyberpunk and probably a couple other games were going to be pushed till almost Christmas. And I almost guarantee you those games will be pushed to Christmas because the PS5 release, I'm telling you, they're going to match them up, man. We were talking about it.
So it's hard to say because of how in stone CD Projekt Red's been about being last gen on, well, not last gen, but this gen on Cyberpunk. They're saying it's only PS4, Xbox One. That's what we're focusing on right now. And it could be, like a diversion play where they're just throwing us this way so that when they actually do delay it and like, oh, we're releasing concurrently on PS4 and PS5 and Xbox One and Xbox, whatever the fuck.
Scarlet. Nope.
I think it's just Xbox now.
Is it just...
Yeah.
Is it just an Xbox because that thing's fucking bigger than my computer tower?
Well, yeah. You might be right. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
But, I think the most interesting, even though Avengers and Cyberpunk got pushed, until the next half of the year.
Right.
Final Fantasy is an interesting one because it's only a month. What can you really get done in a month in development time other than, I guess just battening down the hatches, prepping for and maybe they just wanted more time for marketing. But another idea I thought was maybe this was solely because of the Avengers. They wanted to stretch their lineup of games across the whole year so that they have a big fall release with the Avengers. I don't know. They have Babylon's Fall, that weird Devil May Cry action game that they're working on with Platinum Games, but I don't know when that's even slated for, or how big a splash that's even going to make. I wasn't really impressed with the trailer, but
it looked interesting, but interesting doesn't get me to buy a game.
Right. So now that Final Fantasy is at the beginning of April, that puts it April, May, June, July, August, 4 months before Avengers, and then Avengers can have the entire fall to do whatever it's going to do. That's such an interesting game because we don't even know outside of conceptual gameplay, some combat we've seen but not really seen because it's been like half CGI, no HUD, like whatever the fuck.
I'm sure E3 will put a lot more into it. With just like a ton of, I mean, E3 usually is like the big show, so they've probably just been saving a lot of it to kind of like do that flash reveal that like everybody always wants.
Right. Maybe that is the case. They didn't feel like last E3 was a good enough showing for it. Yeah, because to be fair, it was kind of a poor showing for it. Yeah. Everybody was a little lukewarm on it. After being so hyped up about it, I think a lot of people were let down by the, I don't know, the visuals weren't up to snuff for some people, and the character models didn't match the guys from the movies, and that upset everybody that's a big fan of the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Well, I mean, let's be honest. Marvel fans are either the best fans or the worst fans. They're either, that was a cool action movie. Or they're, well, you see, in comic number 64, that actually isn't how that happened, and he's wearing the wrong suit.
Yeah.
Like there's...
Yeah, no, I completely see where you're coming from. And I think that really you can boil that down. That's the fan base for pretty much anything now.
Yeah.
There's such a hot and cold side. But no, I think now that, Cyberpunk's coming out in the same month as it now, it's going to have that hill to climb. But whereas it's kind of a different game, maybe they'll have a better shot.
Did they do that on purpose? Did Cyberpunk let's wait until they show their release date. It's on the 15th. We'll do ours on the 13th.
I wanted to end with Cyberpunk because it's not really the most interesting delay because I know that CD Projekt Red is going to come out and it's going to be a banger.
Oh, yeah.
In one way or the other, whether it's going to be the best game ever made or, another Witcher 3. And I love The Witcher 3, but it's not the best game ever made. I can say that certainly.
It's in my top 10.
Well...
We did that, remember?
Yeah.
It was in your top 10.
It was my top 5 for...
No, yeah, it was top 5, wasn't it?
It was top 5 for the decade.
The decade.
We're talking all the time. We need a whole new podcast.
Yeah, Tetris is going to be in that bitch.
Well, shit, no, not Tetris. I don't like Tetris.
What?
No. Never been a Tetris guy.
Never been a Tetris guy. Oh.
Dr. Mario, though.
That's Tetris.
No, it's not. You combine them. The Tetris is just lines. You just get lines, and they go all down. And Dr. Mario, you get score, and you see all the little viruses, and they pop, and it's crazy. And you play as Mario, which is great. Or, well, Mario's there. I don't know who you're playing as.
All right, fair enough.
But yeah, Cyberpunk. Anyway, I think it's just another layer of polish for that one. And you can't be mad at that. I
mean, honestly, knowing so much, or knowing as much as I do about, MMOs and RPGs and stuff like that, and especially like multiplayer stuff, I think they've probably learned a lot by watching, like Rockstar and watching a lot of other companies and knowing that like every large AAA title that has multiplayer that has such a vast and kind of like just incredible like network between everything usually releases and is total shit for multiplayer for the first like 2 months.
Are we talking about Avengers?
Oh no, I'm talking about Cyberpunk.
So Cyberpunk's multiplayer was delayed, I think, until next year.
Oh, it's delayed even more?
Yeah, so that
I thought that this matched up with it.
The campaign, or whatever, the main game of Cyberpunk 2077, that's coming out in September, but they did announce that they're pushing their multiplayer suite until the beginning, or I don't even think they said the beginning, but I imagine probably the beginning of 2021.
No shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so that changes things, because I was going to say, like, that type of stuff takes the infinite amount of time to really get network down. But
so I think that
really
they were planning on dropping it after anyway. I don't think that the multiplayer was going to be ready for launch in April.
Yeah.
So maybe it's drawing them closer together. Like they'll be able to do a little bit more and maybe bring the multiplayer on this side of 2020 and or this side of 2021, whichever you want to really say. But
sure, a year from now. But I will say this does give room for Legion.
Ah, yes, Watch Dogs.
When
the fuck is that coming out again?
I don't remember. It hasn't been delayed again, because obviously it did get delayed originally to like fucking. I think it got delayed to March or something like that. Maybe it got delayed to
March 6th.
Yeah.
So that's great.
That's really good for them because that was a massive competition.
Yeah.
And I probably wasn't going to buy that because I was going to buy Cyberpunk. So now I'm probably going to pick that up.
Music to Ubisoft's ears.
100%.
Yeah, man, that's a big deal. I wasn't really thinking of how that would benefit all the games around all those, because it's gonna boom not only Legion but Animal Crossing.
Yep.
Animal Crossing is coming out, I think, in March.
When's Minecraft Dungeons coming out?
I think that's another March game.
Is it a March game?
Let's just keep Google up because.
Well, I mean, Google is king of answers.
Dungeons release dates.
Oh yeah. Oh, it just says 2020.
Wait a minute, hold on. They say April.
April?
They don't have a straight up date, but this post says April, and this is from PC Games.
Interesting. Okay. So sometime 2020, speculation of April, we'll say.
Yeah. Speculation April. I imagine it'll probably hit that because it's not graphically intense. I can't imagine that. That's the problem. It's probably more like balancing. Balancing dungeon difficulty, all that. It's probably like focus testing and shit.
I just found out something really interesting about that game this past week. Modding is going to be really big in it, which is exactly what I wanted. I'm very excited.
Yeah,
but that's beside the point.
When's Animal Crossing? Oh, so Animal Crossing is the 20th of March.
Oh, 20th of March?
Yeah, so
that's almost perfect because the people that would play Legion that aren't super in-depth into things like games like Legion, but like games like Animal Crossing, probably will pick Legion up to finish the main story to then pick up Animal Crossing.
Right. So I think that now March is looking a little bit more clear, and now I'll have all of April to play Final Fantasy VII, which is great.
It's true.
Man, I was feeling real pressured when they pushed Final Fantasy VII and Cyberpunk hadn't said anything yet. And I was like, oh god, they're like 6 days apart. I'm gonna have to game my life away. But no.
Yeah.
Here we are, in a perfect world.
Well, I mean,
I don't think I would have said that last year if I heard that Cyberpunk was getting delayed until the second half of 2020. But now that we're more in it, it's feels good. Feels good to know that we're going to be able to have that big blockbuster at the end of the summer.
I did just think of something.
What's that?
I wonder if Final Fantasy never got the memo that Cyberpunk was also delaying their game. And they were like, alright, well, they didn't make a move, so we have to because, like, we want to give our game the best chance.
Yeah.
So they just delayed it a month. I wonder, and then, like, it came out, like, a couple, like, days later or an hour later or something. Cyberpunk delayed their game, and they were like, "Fuck!"
See, it's so weird because
I feel like they talk to each other. I don't know.
I imagine that the demographics for these games aren't necessarily the same because JRPG, Western RPG. I guess you could say Western RPG, but it's Europe.
Yeah.
It just is splitting the hair like that. I think that more people will play Final Fantasy VII now that Cyberpunk's out, just simply because of like what you were saying, funds. Whether or not you're going to choose one or the other is completely dependent on how much money you have at that time. So you have $60. What are you going to spend your $60 on? Are you going to spend it on Cyberpunk, or are you going to spend it on a remake?
I'm going to spend it on The Witcher 4.
Oh fuck, dude! Don't even tease me, dude. I just hit the table. But Yeah, I think we spent enough time on these delays, but
yeah,
it's always interesting to me to talk about that type of stuff, just because I want to get into the minds of those guys. I want to see like what really was the either problem or idea behind it. Like, was it marketing? Was it this? Was it that? I'm endlessly interested in that.
Did a sponsor pull out and now all the red barrels have to be unlabeled?
Right, yeah, something like that.
No more Cisco.
Right, yeah, no more. Or like thinking about that,
crazy.
It's like all the music that they said that was coming to Cyberpunk, all that weird. I can't remember. There was that rapper. See, this is a problem if we don't remember any of our podcasts. We can't. We can't call back to him, but yeah. That it could be like a branding deal with them, or pulling out.
It's true,
but only time will tell. You know what else time will tell?
No, I don't.
Well, I'll tell you. The rest of the Super Smash Brothers roster. That's what time will tell. But they also released some information about the very first character, which. The very first character in this new suite. I see. I'm going to stop doing the little thing I was doing. Smash Direct was last week, and they announced that Byleth is going to be the first character of the new suite of Smash characters. Which, if you don't know Byleth, which Byleth is a ridiculous name, I had to look it up because you rename your protagonist anyway. But he's the protagonist from the newest Fire Emblem game, Three Houses.
Yes.
And, it's he or she. So there's a male and female version of the character. Female version looks way cooler than the male version.
Seems
just
legit.
Gonna put that down.
It's because we all picked the female version anyways.
It's unbelievable. I picked the male version and I fucking regretted it. I gotta go back and play that game again. But yeah. So they announced that. They also announced there's gonna be a wave 4 of DLC for Three Houses, which includes a whole new house. Which the houses are the 3 arcs of the story that you can take. I think that I don't know how they're going to implement that, whether it's going to be at the end of the story or if it's like a replay value thing or
like endgame DLC.
Yeah, but I thought that was interesting. New Smash characters are always cool to see. I can't imagine what that character pass is.
You know what? It's going to be smashing.
And we're moving on. So, Fortnite is in the news again.
Dude.
And man, is Ninja pleased because he finally got his skin.
He did.
In Fortnite.
It only took 2 years of him being the number 1 Fortnite streamer.
Yeah, man. So who's next?
Tim Tatman.
Tim the Tatman, dude, that'd be great.
I'm not gonna lie, I would buy a skin of just like a bunch of tattoos.
Tim the Tatman. Who's the other guy that?
Dr. Lupo.
Yeah, Dr. Lupo. Yeah, I could see that too.
Yep, Dr. Lupo. Dr. Lupo's awesome. I've watched a ton of Dr. Lupo over the years. However, he's just not unique enough. Like as a he doesn't have a character,
right?
Or like a persona.
Is himself. Yeah.
He's just himself. So it'd be really hard for them to like make a skin because it would just be like
him.
It would just be super plain, and it would be like, oh, I got a skin.
Yeah. Yeah. Tim the Tatman would be a great one though.
Yeah, you'd be able, like, Tim the Tatman. He kind of like he personifies a character as well. And he's always, like, super eccentric about, like, how he reacts to things and stuff like that, which is always, like, it's super fun to watch.
What was that stupid dance that Ninja used to do on his streams?
He's done a lot.
He's done a lot of stupid dances, but there was one for a while when he was, like, at that peak that he used to do.
He was flossing for a long time.
Yeah. But that it was, like, an original thing that he did. Fuck it. Anyway, so the biggest topic, even though there was some crazy, ridiculous delays, biggest topic this week is, again, PS4 is skipping E3.
Yes.
So my question is, what does that mean for everybody else? Because I don't think that means diddly squat for PS4 or PlayStation or Sony or whatever, because they're going to do their own thing.
You didn't hear?
I didn't hear what?
Well, PS5's going to be there. Just not the PS4.
Oh, yeah. Right. So, they just... Oh, you're killing me. My thought train was just like.
Sorry. Let me put you back online. No. It means nothing for PS4 because they're big and everybody else is like, we have space to breathe.
But I think that means that either one, Xbox is gonna blow this bitch smithereens with their new shit, or two, Microsoft is gonna follow in Sony's footsteps and leave E3 in the dust.
I don't think that'll happen, and here's why.
I don't think so either.
I think everybody that goes to E3, that literally like goes to E3 and dude, Microsoft pulls random shit out every year. I think everybody that goes to E3 and goes to the Microsoft concert is getting Minecraft Dungeons for free. And it's going to release that day.
Quote him. Quote him now. Get on Twitter. For the love of God.
I think that's what will happen. I don't. There's no way. Like, I legitimately, like, they always release like some. They always have something. Last year it was that mobile, like some mobile game or some bullshit like that. I can't remember what it was. They did something that they were like, they quickly released that night, and then Elder Scrolls did that too. Like, there was a couple people.
The Blades thing.
Yeah, there was a couple people that just like, and everybody in the audience gets this meaningless game for free, and then they move on. They like Oprah the shit out of it.
Minecraft Dungeons wouldn't be meaningless, would it?
But to 90% of the people that got it, yes. To me, no.
I'll take all of your copies. But yeah, I think that more and more E3 is just going to become a developers conference where game developers, not necessarily the big companies that house all of them, just come and share their stuff. And I think that while E3 is becoming more of a fan-oriented place, I think it kind of blends that way, so that now fans are going to be able to interact more or less with developers and see the people that are behind the scenes making these games. And I think that's important. Whether or not E3 thinks that's important is completely dependent on what happens the next couple of years with E3. What they're going to do to try and fill that space that Sony's left, and what they're going to try and do to keep everybody else there.
I think that if Microsoft pulls out and PlayStation pulls out, I think that it actually kind of opens up E3 to be like that. It like, so if Microsoft and PlayStation are class like S, and you move, you now don't have a class S. You take the class S completely out of the question.
Right.
Now everything below that becomes class S, and everything below that moves up a class, and so on and so forth. And then you might experience some indie developers that normally wouldn't be able to go to things like that, that now gain that little spot. But that also leads me to the second piece, which is I don't think Microsoft could pull out because they have that indie spot. And even if Microsoft pulls out, I think that they would keep a specific portion of it in. Like, they might pull some stuff out and, like, take up less time or something like that. Right. But even their last conference wasn't crazy in any sense of the word. It was just quick reels, quick, like, It
wasn't a CES PlayStation 5 logo reveal.
Exactly. Right. Sorry, I just...
Yeah.
Well, we forgot.
I got you that time.
Oh, yeah.
All right. But, yeah, I agree with you. I don't think Microsoft is going to necessarily move out this year because of the opportunity that Sony has presented to them with letting them have the stage.
Yeah.
I think that they give it one last gas here and just blow it out with Xbox Series everything. And... Yep. They give the people what they want. They show them Halo. They show them whatever. New IPs after new IPs. They give you the games that you want. They do this. They do that. I think that if they do that this year, I think that they're done with E3 next year because of the success that Sony has had, leaving that behind with now the State of Play is getting their information out there in more... concentrated drops throughout the year instead of just one big, and the rest of the year is just like speculation on whatever that happened at E3, And
right.
I loved E3 for its big reveals, but now that Sony has left, and E3 is still a big deal. I think E3 is always going to have something that the other conferences don't, but I think that now where we're sprinkling it out and the game industry is becoming bigger and more bombastic, like the movie industry and all that, I think that it's a better way to go to have all these crazy announcements spread out across the year, so that you're not left in October thinking about, oh man, they announced all this stuff at last year's E3. Oh man, there's still 5 more months until next E3.
Yeah.
Well, I wonder what's going to happen then. And I think that what really started to break the mold was when PS4 had the PS4 reveal event in February, when they announced it. I think it was like 2013, I think.
Yeah, it was something like that.
And it really changed the landscape of how we thought of announcing big deals, like not just consoles, but the next step for things, like the next big God of War or the next Halo. Like you never know when it's going to come, and that's exciting.
I mean, I see that piece of it. It's definitely fun, and I will say, to kind of your point, geez, I just literally, my brain just turned to gray mush in my head.
That's all right. Yes.
EA Access. I think that that they have so much going for that, like that Microsoft, you just pay like $6 or $10, right, whatever it is. Right. I think that they can do a lot to get themselves more people and more stuff if they do go away with, like, they pull out at E3 and then they start doing like demos. Demos are really undervalued and a lot of people don't do them anymore. But on Steam, there's a lot of people that release demos for PC games. Right. And the people that release demos for PC games have a proven margin where they make more money and they make more, like, they just have a better opportunity to expose themselves to more audiences and stuff like that. And I could see them doing like a Halo like demo, like something that's really crazy that would pump up their numbers as well as get new audience for it. And I think that doing something like that where they do drop like those precise little nuggets of information throughout the year, followed by at the very end they're like, also, if you have EA Access, you'll be getting this free demo. If you don't, go pick it up. Right. That type of I could see that.
I think that betas in general have kind of replaced the classic demo that we think of. Like, there are clear like single player demos that come out, and I forget. I'm trying to really think of the last one I played. I think it was probably Neo was the last like demo. Like, they even called that one a beta, but it was a demo.
I mean, yeah, demo, beta, basically the same.
Beta,
same thing.
I think just kind of is like an umbrella. So it covers like, oh well, there's some online aspects to this demo that you wouldn't necessarily expect from a quote unquote demo. Like a demo, when I think of a demo, I think of the old PS2 discs that came in the mail and you threw it in there and you had like Gran Turismo and Twisted Metal and stuff like that. But now where the whole landscape of that has even changed, where you can just instantly go on and let's see what demos are here on the PSN. There's a few here. You roll down and you pick what one you want and you go forward. I think that if game makers, it's a tricky thing, because if you give a demo for your game and people aren't impressed with that first little taste, that will hurt your sales. But if you send out a demo and people love that bit, it has the opposite effect. You're going to get a little bit more a bump in sales than what you would have expected. I think that the latter is almost always better, just because you can get the conversation started no matter what. and you can get feedback earlier on so that maybe you can change some of the things that people don't necessarily like about the game.
Yeah.
But I can see the argument for the latter for a strange reason being, if your game is really good, like I imagine that The Last of Us Part 2 is going to be, like Cyberpunk is going to be, putting a demo out for those almost hurts you in a way that it's like
there's so much hype around them already.
Right. So if you put out that taste and it's like it's incomplete in some way, or that part of the story doesn't, like, I don't know, feed right, there's all those things you have to keep in mind when you're doing that, and it's a scary thing, I assume, for a dev to, and time consuming too, to take out a chunk of a game and make it playable for just that, and also have that focus to know this is a good part of our game, this is like the best way we can showcase our mechanics, our story, this, that, and the other, voice acting, whatever you're trying to do. It can be sketchy,
I mean, definitely can. I'd say the prime example that when I think of betas is going back to Battlefield 4. When they did that beta and they came out, they just straight was like, look, it's one map. We need it for server stability and to help understand what weapons need to be balanced, and for just raw statistics. We have a quarter of the graphics in the game right now. The game looks like absolute dookie. They basically told you don't play the game for looks, because it's not there right now. Right. Just like straight up, like
it's funny that you bring that one up, because that beta sold that game for me.
It really did for me too.
Loved that beta, and then when you got the game out, or at least for us on console, the day one launch of that game was atrocious. Yeah, the servers were bad.
I played Xbox day one on that.
And it was so bad, and it was so disappointing. And I was like, all I want to do is get online and play. But then I went onto the campaign, and the campaign for Battlefield 4 was dope.
Yeah, it was pretty good. I did not finish it, but it was good.
Oddly enough, I think that the servers being piss poor pushed me to play the campaign of that game, which I may not have normally done, and it actually changed my opinion of first-person shooter campaigns. That not being like a shining example. A lot of people, critically acclaimed, did not come to that.
Yes.
But I think that changed my opinion on those, just simply because now I'm willing to try those. Because I'm like, oh wow, this was a set piece that I haven't seen since early Call of Duty days, where the Call of Duty campaign was the shit. And
Call of Duty campaign.
That's almost why you bought those games back in the day, because the multiplayer was local, and unless you had a big ass TV, you couldn't see anything.
Oh man. Yes.
But yeah, delays. PS4's Sony's not going to be at E3, man.
Yep.
There's a lot of good news, but man, it's a lot of gray news.
Gray, that's a good way of putting it.
But that's everything we got this week. It's good to sit down and actually have like a list of things to go through instead of having to come off the cap of our heads. And that wasn't even a good save. Nobody's getting this far in the fucking podcast. I love y'all. Peace.
Peace.